going on, guys? Jurassic here. Today we're going to be learning how to set up an Ark Survival Evolved server. We're going to be going over the game INI. In this video, we did the game user settings in the last video, so a little bit of a recap. If you're on an Entrado server, make sure you go to the General tab and have Expert Mode selected, and then click Save. That will enable you to see this expert settings list, and that is how we get to everything that we're about to do today. Now, some of the code inside of the game INI duplicates if you accidentally start on here, and it will cause some save issues, so make sure you're not selected on the game INI whenever you go to start your server. So once we're done, click off on the dashboard, for example, and then you're able to start and you should be good. So to start this off, this code only works on an Entrado server. For some reason, the Windows 10 version does not work and you have to input all of the different engrams manually. I am going to do that at the very end of the video just to show you guys where you can actually go to get that. But for Entrado users, all you have to do is click B, auto unlock all engrams equals true. Basically, as soon as you get to like level 3, for example, you're going to automatically learn everything that a level 3 could be able to learn. So it sort of deletes the whole need for extra engram points inside of games. So if that's your thing, I highly recommend using it. Next up on the list is B, auto. Next up on the list is B, allow flyer speed leveling equals true. And then this basically allows all flyers to get points into speed. So the global spoil time multiplier, this is going to be for items inside of your inventory. So basically like raw meat and things like that. So 0 is going to have it so it lasts about an hour or so compared to 15 minutes of like on an official server. So next up on the list is going to be the global item decomposition time multiplier. So basically this is going to be for your items like a bag that you throw on the ground, for example. So if you have this set to 0, it's going to last as long as you want, or you can set it to whatever value you want to. So any item thrown down. Global corpse is going to be a little bit more straightforward. Once again, you don't need 2 of these codes. It's just sort of been that way since the server shut down improperly. So keep that in mind. It's not actually going to affect it. It will override whatever higher value you have. So if you want to have it at 0, make sure you get rid of that 5 and 6 stuff. Resource no replenish radius players. Basically, if a player is inside of a radius, it's going to take a little bit longer for an item to replenish itself. So you can have this set to 0 so it automatically grows back. 1 is going to be the default value like on an official server. And same with these structures. Basically, it's going to be the exact same thing, except you're going to be adding structures to the end of the code. Some of this stuff is going to automatically be inside of it, and you just need to change the default values, where some stuff you actually have to add in. And next up on the list is per platform max structures multiplier. Basically, this is going to be how many items you're able to place on side of a platform. I have this cranked up as high as I can. That way you can place as much stuff on side of like a Quetzal platform. However, a smaller value is going to limit you. Next up on the list is going to be a little bit more straightforward and a little bit more complicated. So if you have anything that sort of annoys you on your servers, for example, Pegomastics, Ichthyornises, these are the seagulls that try to steal all your stuff from you, and Lead 60s, the things that go and destroy your boats. If you want to completely get rid of them from your server, you want this NPC replacement equals from class name, and then a quote. Basically, you're able to override any creature inside of Ark to completely get rid of them and change them to either something you want, or if you leave it as 2 open quotes, basically that's going to be to completely remove them from the game. So once again, all you have to do is head over to any of the creatures pages. So for example, Ark. On the Pegomastics page here, you'll see this Pegomastics character BP_C. Copy that in, and you want to drag it over and paste it right here and finish your quote. That is going to be for any creature inside of Ark. So if you want to get rid of anything else, you can. And to finish off this code, you want to do a comma to class name, and then this is where you can decide if you wanted something else, you could, or you can just close it off and you're 100% good to go. You don't actually put anything at the end of the code lines, just so you guys are aware. So this next code is going to be a very long code, so I'm going to break it up into several different lines. That way it's a little bit easier to follow. So we want to start with config add NPC. Basically, this is going to be a code that allows you to add any creatures inside of Ark Survival Evolved as long as they're an official creature. So for example, you can have snow owls and crystal wyverns on side of any map that you want. Entries container equals. Now, every single time you add in this code, this beginning part has to be the exact same. So once again, you do NPC spawn entries container class string equals. The class string is going to allow you to have as many creatures inside of this list as possible. I will show you guys how to put the parentheses in and to close it off, or you can have 3, 4, 30 creatures, however many you want. So this next code is going to be specific to whatever map you're on. See how this one's even labeled Valgarl Snow Forest? So if we head over to the spawn entries page, I will have this link down in the description down below. It has every single official map and all of the spawn entries. So if we wanted to do Lost Island, for example, we got the AB Dawn Spinal Entries Bio Cave. Here we go. We'll do the Badlands. That way it's a little bit easier and makes sense for some of the creatures. So you want to copy that code and paste it in, and then finish it off with another quote. Basically, this is going to be a specific region on the side of your map. You don't actually see where they're going to be spawning, but once you figure out where the Badlands is on the map, it'll be easy for you to locate the creatures. Sometimes different maps share the exact same container class name, which means you might accidentally have code in from other maps and having creatures spawn in that you don't mean to. So this is where you would go to double check to make sure it's not conflicting with another map, for example. So now that we have where we want to do, now we actually add in the creatures. So you want NPC spawn entries equal, then you want 2 parentheses. Basically, the 2 parentheses is going to be your main outer group and then your inner group. So the outer group is going to be closed at the very end. So this allows you to add in multiple creatures at once, or you can just have one and just close it off at the end of this line. So you want an entry name. It doesn't matter what you name it, because the game, this is mostly for you so you can understand. For example, I have mine as like Snow Zero or something for a snow owl. Next up on the list is going to be the entry weight. This is going to be how many are actually going to be spawning inside of an area. It should pay attention and listen to you. So for example, 0.1 should only have 0.01, sorry, should only have 10 of that creature on the map. Some creatures like the Arcanos completely override that command, so be super careful if you're adding crabs. I played around with several different settings and could not get that to work. Most creatures you can add a entry weight of 0.05, and that basically limits them a decent amount inside the map to make it seem relatively normal. Put a comma, and then to follow it off, you want NPCs, and make sure you get the quotes and capitalizations correctly in the right spots, or else it won't work. Spawn strings equals. This is basically going to be a repetitive step, so I'm not going to show you every single one. I'm just going to try to explain it. So notice how there is a 2 parentheses here. So notice on our parentheses, we're still actually having an open parentheses here. This allows us to add in more dinosaurs to the map. So basically, just like we did with the Pegomastix, if you wanted to add a Pegomastix, for example, come over to the spawn command, you should see it right here, and you just paste it in right where we do this string. Now you can add in as many creatures as you want doing this method. So if you paste it in, you want to close off the quote and then do 2 parentheses. That's not actually going to lock in your creatures. You can do a comma, an entry name, and then continue on with whatever other creatures you want if you wanted to. Name it whatever you want, so we'll do YY. Entry weight equals, and then 0.05. And then you just basically continue the code the exact same way that we've already done it before. So you want to finish it off with NPCs to spawn string equal, make sure you have the S at the end. You want to do open parentheses, do a quote, and whatever other dinosaur you want. For example, if you want the Cinema Crops, head over to the Cinema Crops Ark wiki page, come back over into our code, which we're doing down here, and you paste it in. Now this time, you're going to finish it off with a quote. And if you wanted to add in more creatures, you would do 2, add in a comment, and just keep on going. However, if you want to finish it off, you want to do the third one. Third one is going to be the final parentheses that closes the first argument group inside of your code. Now, to finish it off, we want comma, NPC, spawn, limits. Basically, this should tell the creatures in the game how many are allowed to stay within a region, so eventually they should die and keep on respawning and try to repopulate the exact same amount. So this is where basically you're going to be going back and forth copying the codes that you pasted in from before. So the Pegomastic we did first, it doesn't matter which way you do it in the end as long as both of them are actually listed. So see how we got the NPC class string Pegomastic, because we have the Pegomastic down here. And you want to add in a max percentage of desired num to allow equals. And once again, I try to keep these numbers relatively low. So 0.05 is normally perfect. And then if you have any other creatures, you just keep on going, just like before. NPC class string equals. Now this is going to be depending on how many creatures you have in here, but since we're only going to be adding in 2 to this first example, this is where you would do it. But for a third one, for example, you just keep on going. Nothing changes. Then you just finish it off with the max desired number. You could technically copy and paste the code that you've already written down here, since it's literally the exact same thing. And since this is the final creature inside of this list, we're going to close it off with 3 parentheses. So basically we had an open parentheses in the beginning of the code and open parentheses at this NPC class string code. And that's how you finish it off. This next code is going to be to show you guys how to change resource requirements inside of the game. It works with everything vanilla except for mutagen, and it does not seem to work with majority of the stuff from Primitive Plus, just so you guys are aware. So for example, since everything is going to be the exact same code, and just like the dinosaurs, we're going to be picking on the shrink arrows inside of the game. So you want to start your code with config override item cost equals, then you want to have a open parentheses, item class string, and just like the dinosaurs we did before, that is how you can sit there and have it so it requires a ton amount of resources or just a little bit. Now this is going to be for basically every single item that you can craft inside the game. You'll notice that there's going to be 2 lines of it. You only need the last line. So where it starts after the period, the primal item ammo underscore arrow trank, you want to copy that in and paste it inside of our code. So we're going to swap back over to this page and paste it in. Now we are set to change these shrink arrows. Make sure you have underscore C at the end of that. And you want to add in a base crafting resource requirements equals, have 2 parentheses again, resource item type string. And then this is where you can add in as many different items as you want. So if you want to have it require wood, I already have the code written down here, so we're just going to be looking at it. That way we don't have to look it up. So this is where you're going to be inputting whatever resource you want to swap it out with. For example, trank arrows normally take wood and narcotics. We're going to be swapping it for wood and narco berries inside this code. So after the string, you want to have in the quotes, the primal item resource wood is going to be shown on the wiki page, just like the trank arrows. So we're just going to go and copy and paste that. So the base requirement is going to be how much you actually want. So if you want it to require 40 wood, for example, you want to change this 1 to a 40, or you can leave it as just a 1. If you don't add zeros, your code should automatically fix itself whenever you launch your server. And you want to finish it off with B, crafting require exact resource type equals false. Basically, this overrides the original crafting requirements, and then you're able to continue on. So this is where you could either decide to close off a parenthesis or continue to keep on going. So I decided to add in the narcoberry requirement. So it's going to be the exact same code from before. So I'm just going to copy this in just so you guys can see what it is. Now see how it says resource type string primal wood base resource requirement equals 1, B crafting exact resource type equals false. It's going to be this exact same code for the narco berries. So I'm just going to copy and paste it. A lot of time when I'm making this code, I do copy and paste a lot of the previous lines. As long as you make sure your first line is correct, copy and pasting is a lot faster way to do this kind of stuff. So make sure you start with a open parenthesis, have the resource item type string, add in whatever you want. I have narco berries, so it requires 1 wood and 1 narco berry is how you read this. And then you want to close it off with 3 parentheses, just like the creature spawn. That way it fully closes off this original parentheses, and then you're good to go. This next code is going to be sort of similar to that. So you want config override item max quantity. Basically, this is going to be to how you can get the stack mod inside of a vanilla Ark server. Item class string equals. So if you wanted a specific sort of raw meat, for example, or raw anything that's normally not stackable very high, see a 1 out of 2, we can sit there and change it to be whatever we want. So after this initial period, we want to copy in everything from there. Back over to our code, paste it in, and put a quote. Some things require a C, some things don't. I typically add a C just so it's a little bit easier to read. And then you want to finish it off with a comma. And then you want to do quantity, open parentheses, max, item quantity, and this is going to be how much they stack inside of your inventory. So I normally do 10,000, that way it can stack as high as it wants. This is going to make it so creatures, for example, have a lot harder time running around with small things inside of their inventories, but it's going to help your server performance tremendously. And unlike last time where it was equals false, and then you want to make sure it does equals true. And now you use this exact same method for anything to manually override things that are kind of more obscure. So raw mutton, raw prime meat, wyvern milk, ambergris. For regular wood and things like that, we fixed it inside of the other code, but this is going to be for more of your specific items. Next up is going to be the level experience ramp overrides. Doing this method allows you to go basically infinite amount of numbers. So for example, we're going to do 0 equals 5 and then add it in a comma. You can go as far as you want. I have mine so we go all the way up to 300. So if you scroll all the way to the very end of this code, you'll notice it stops at 498. Some things get cropped off. On my server, you can get up to, I believe it's 402. For some reason, it stops a little bit early. But yeah, you just basically do a comma and just keep on going with the experience points for level bracket, your number, close bracket. You need this for every single step. There are some people who have these online, so you can just sort of copy and paste. Now that last code, we have it in there twice. One is for our player and the other one is for dinosaurs. I typically have the same ramp scale. You can change them however you want to though. But for dinosaurs, I do have it cropped off at 300 where players are at 498, just so you guys are aware. All right, so the next one is going to be for how much experience points a dinosaur can earn. Now, some dinosaurs do glitch out if you put too many points into a certain attribute, so I believe it's 125. But just keep that in mind. Now that we're increasing our dinosaur skill quite a bit, you want to make sure you're not accidentally breaking the game. If you do too many, whenever the server restarts your character, your dinosaur, for example, will be reset and be a lot weaker than before. Next up on the list is going to be harvest, resource, item, amount, class, multiplier, equals, open parentheses, class, name, equal, quote. Now this is going to be basically for any specific resource. So we have the primal item resource crystal selected right here in front of us. So we'll probably do that as our example. But basically this is going to be so whenever you see crystal, you're going to have 5 times the amount that you normally would hitting crystal. This is going to be to boost up specific items that are a little bit more rare. So you can even do it for narco berries, for example, if you want to get those more frequently than some of the other berries that you never use. So you can copy it from the wiki page or you can just type it out. Flyer equals, and then however much you want. I typically have it at 5. Mine is set kind of high. It sort of varies depending on official settings. And you can go in manually and set like the seeds, for example, so they're a little bit higher dropped. Same with the talons and things like that you get from creatures just to try to increase your odds of getting things that are more rare. Next up on the list is we got the baby imprinting stat scale multiplier. As long as you have imprinting set on your server, anything that you imprint on that is yours will be a little bit stronger, so you can set whatever value you want. I have mine at 2.8. Just keep it at 2 for now. Same with the baby cuddle interval. If you play around with this, basically I have it set so it's going to be like a minute per cuddle. I have my server so things hatch relatively quickly, so you want to make sure you have super low number, that way you're actually able to get your cuddles in. Grace period is going to be how long it needs between cuddles. I have mine set at 3 and it seems to work out good. Most smaller creatures I have a little bit of an issue with, but the bigger ones I don't have any issues with. Even like pteranodons work on my server, so I do recommend these settings. Baby cuddle ooze imprint. Quality speed. Basically, this is going to be how long you're able to go between cuddling before things start to go bad. Now, this next step, I'm going to pull up the official page so you guys can see exactly which categories to wear. So this is going to be the exact same for dinosaurs and for people. So you want per stats multiplier. So to do this, you want a per level stats multiplier underscore, and then this is where it's going to be changed. There's going to be 3 or 4 different ways of doing this, so we're going to do dino tamed and then open, then you want to bracket. So the different numbers are going to be depending on where you want to actually go. So 0 is for health, 1 is for stamina, 2 is for turpidity, 3 oxygen, 4 food, 5 water, 6 temperature, 7 weight, 8 melee damage, 9 speed, 10 temperature fortitude, and 11 crafting speed multiplier. So that is where you would do 1 through 11 technically. 11 would be for your character, not for dinosaurs. Then add in equals and then whatever number you want. So this is something that you would want to play around with on your server to see what works best for you. Same with the dinosaur add. Basically, once you tamed it, it's going to get a small bump. Once it's already tamed, whenever you click the button, it's going to add in a little bit more. So you want to do the exact same code, but add in underscore add to the end of this. So you want to do underscore add. So the add is going to be how many points you're actually able to add in additionally, and affinity is going to be a multiplier depending on that. Next step is going to be for the wild dinosaurs. So if you want to have it so wild dinosaurs are more evenly matched with your tamed creatures, for example, you want to do that, have a bracket, and once again 0 through 11. Then equals. A lot of this stuff is the exact same, and once again for our player, 11 is going to be for crafting. I'll have this link down in the description down below, also that way you guys can sort of look at it a little bit easier. Now, if you're not on a PvP server, the PvP zone structure damage doesn't actually do anything, so we're going to skip that. Structure damage repair cooldown, this is all going to be default stuff, but I'll just explain it. So damage repair cooldowns, basically if something's taking a little bit of damage, it's going to take a little bit before it's actually able to be repaired. Respawn interval is going to be the time between beds. Crop growth speed multiplier, that's going to be how fast a crop can grow. Lay egg interval multiplier equals 3. Once again, this is going to be for how things lay eggs. This code is going to be on all official INI servers, so you can just literally go in there and change the numbers. You don't actually have to type out this. Egg hatch speed multiplier, that's going to be how fast the eggs hatch. I have mine at 10. Mating interval at 0.1. Basically, that's going to be a smaller number between the mating cycles, so you're able to make more babies quicker. Crop decay speed multiplier, I have mine set at 6. Seems to last quite a while for some reason. With 6, the fertilizer lasts a little bit longer. Baby food consumption speed multiplier, that's basically going to be how quickly a baby dinosaur wants to be eating. Baby mature speed, I have it set at 17, so it's going to be maturing quite fast, which is why we had the cuddle imprint scale a lot lower. Dino turret damage multiplier, basically this is going to be how much damage a dinosaur takes from turrets shooting at it. Dino harvesting damage multiplier, this is going to be how much you actually gather from resources. So if your harvesting number is higher, you're going to get more resources for the dinosaur. Same for the player. If the player number is higher, you're going to get more and you don't have to hit it as frequently. We got custom recipe effectiveness multiplier. If you have custom recipes enabled on your server, this is going to be so you can have better burgers or drinks that you're able to make inside of the cooking pot. Kill XP multiplier, that's going to be how much experience points you get from killing things, harvesting, crafting, generic, and special. Special is going to be for alphas. Fuel consumption interval multiplier equals 25. This is going to be how long wood lasts inside of a forge, for example. So I have it so it lasts quite a while. If you don't want it to last that long, have this number a lot lower than 25. So this is where you can decide if you want custom recipes or not. So if you have B allow custom recipes equals true, you should be good. If you don't want to disable loot crates, make sure you have that as false. If you want to allow unaligned dino basing, have that as true. Basically that means it's going to be able to be placed wherever instead of trying to snap to a certain quadrant. You can have friendly fire enabled or disabled by either swapping that to false to true. Hard limits and range is going to limit a certain amount of turrets before it reaches capacity. Structure placement collision. This code here is going to be so you can actually place things inside of each other. I believe that one is one that we did add in. So B, disable structure placement. So if you wanted to place like a smithy and a storage box right on top of each other, that's what code you would need for that to actually work. Dino riding, dino taming, have both of those false. That way you can actually do both of those. Allow unlimited respecs. That one was one that they added in recently. I don't know if it's defaulted or not. So you want to make sure you have B allow respecs equals true. This is going to be for players, not for dinosaurs. Override max experience points for players. We already got all that set, so you can have this as whatever number you want. Max number of players in tribe. You can have that as whatever you want to. Since we're on a PvE server, it doesn't matter. PvP server, this is where you would determine if you want like 5 people in a tribe, for example. Supply crate loot quantity. This is going to increase the amount of ascendant gear you get from loot crates, for example. Fishing quality, that's going to increase the amount of items that you get from fishing. And crafting skill bonus multiplier is going to be how high your blueprints are increased from your crafting skill. If this game I helped you out, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.